Yeah, so basically there is a new patch for Stormgate. You know, they're keeping the beta live. It's not completely open. It's like for people to support it on Kickstarter, basically. Um, and here it is. I saw this posted today. I guess it was in the Discord, and Seraph put it into a picture format here. So let's take a look. So first off, there's some bug fixes. Okay, so high APM players don't have client freezes late game anymore. Unit active abilities no longer have negative effect on frames. Bob Overcharge can only be cast on command posts under construction. Oh, shit. I thought that was purposeful. I was doing that every single game. Launch sense drone can no longer be launched from command posts under construction. That makes sense. That did happen to me once, and one of my hidden bases was shown because of the angle it came in from. Shroudstone manifestation can no longer be cast near shrines or shroud stones under construction. Okay, that makes sense. Can no longer be cast near enemy shrines or shroud stones. That makes sense. Fix an issue where Nightfall infestation could follow a targeted unit. Okay. Didn't know that was a thing. Health camps now provide the intended heal rate of 8 health per second. It did feel really low. I'm not surprised that there was a bug with that. Because when they said they were like doubling it, I was like, oh, I'm going to get these all the time. And it never felt like they were doing anything. Fix an issue where Lancers and Medtechs could unintentionally fit through certain walled off areas. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that too, actually. I did have Lancer go through something that I thought was tight. The Megalodon's trample ability can no longer affect air units. Oh, that's crazy. It was doing it. No longer affects structures. That's good. System shock now correctly dispels infest. Okay. Jump jet will no longer be blocked by an enemy corpse. Didn't know that was a thing. Okay, balance changes. So obviously it's always good to get rid of bugs. But balance changes. Level 2 speed camps have been updated to spawn fewer goats. So that's probably just to down the amount of fiends that you're going to get from camping those out or killing those out. For Vanguard, the Scout, the Dog Beryllium Claws upgrade goes up double the price. That's good. The research time doubled as well. That's good because like every single game, every Vanguard goes for that. MedTech supply costs increase from 2 to 3. Okay. Hedgehog ammo recharges quicker. Just quicker in general. Okay. Hedgehogs don't seem to be used too much right now. So not surprised there. Vulcan range increase. I think that's a really good change. The Vulcan really has felt underwhelming. It just doesn't feel that good right now. So I think just any buff to that's good. Evac. Release Skymine cooldown decreased. Okay. I didn't even think about the Skymine. I haven't seen it even one time. It has a 15 Luminite cost. Okay. And they persist just about forever. Okay, that's interesting. Hornet. Reclaimer Stinger's damage decrease from 10 to 8. Well, that's good. The Hornet does need nerfs. Like, a Hornet just kind of flies in and kills whatever it wants, which is kind of silly. Like, if you don't have anti-air ready when the Hornet gets there, you basically lose the game. If your opponent has any multitasking skill. They definitely feel too strong right now. So I'm glad that they're getting a little bit of a nerf, but I don't know if that'll be enough. We'll see. Flat cannon. Anti-air attack range increased. Okay. Attacking an air unit will now only deal splash damage to other air units. Well, that makes sense. And that's it for Vanguard. So basically it's like slight nerf, pretty sizable nerf, buff, nerf. That's a pretty sizable nerf, buff. And it looks like maybe a fixed bug. So yeah, it definitely nerfing the opening, at least for Vanguard. Okay, Infernals. Hellspawn Resurgent Animus. Costs increase from 25 to 40. Okay, that's good. That's the one that I was talking about that is like the most broken thing ever. That's the Control X one where you just give all the charges back to a building. It's insane. It's like the most powerful thing I've ever seen in any game. The fact that you can, like, I can have one like spire thingy that makes flying units, and I can like just have 4 charges that and be like, hey, now I have 12 Spriggans. Just 12 instantly. It's like, what? What? It's just crazy. It's still probably too powerful at 40, honestly. It's still ridiculous. Inflamed imp damage decreased from 100 plus 100 versus structure to 100 plus 50 versus structures. Okay, so you can't just bomb through buildings as quickly. Brute. Sunder Soul ability now grants fiends max white health 15. All fiends start with 0-1 health by default, down from 7.5. That includes both fiends born from infest and ones that drop from brutes on death. Movement speed increased. Wow. Okay, so this looks to me to be, they're taking the brute, and because they made it so that when a brute dies, you get the 2 fiends. So there was no micro. Like, you can just let it die and you don't need to pre-pop it to get the fiends, right? But now if you pre-pop it, you'll have a 15 additional health. So it's now you're going to have to pre-pop it. You don't want them to just have, it's 30 less health overall, right? Or 45 if you have the upgrade. So, yeah, that's really cool. They made it faster as well. I don't know about the faster, but I guess it's okay. There's a lot of splash damage right now, so it doesn't feel like fiends, other than in the early game, are overpowered. Okay, Gaunt. Gaunt weapon bounce range decreased from 5 to 3.5. Okay. Doombringer. It can now load units while in mobilized mode. Okay. That's interesting. The inner radius decreased from 0.5 to 0.1. Outer radius decreased from 1 to 0.5. I don't know what that means for Doombringer. I have no idea what that means. So the Doombringer is like the drop ship, basically, right? So basically, it doesn't have to land to pick units up. It has to land to let them out. But I don't know what this inner radius, outer radius means. Oh, its actual size, its physical size is smaller? Okay. Huh. So you can kind of fit it anywhere. Well, that's weird. Okay. Magmadon. Consume cooldown increased from 0.25 to 5 seconds. That makes a lot of sense. I had some silly games where I'm like just popping things next to it to feed it, and they're like targeting their whole army, and I make it live for forever. It's crazy what Consume can do. You know, restoring that health really, really quickly. That's a really smart change, because I swear to God, I've had games where they've done thousands of damage to Magmadon and it just hasn't died. Hellborn. Supply cost increased from 5 to 8. Wow. Cost increased from 150 to 250 225. Holy shit. Health increased from 200 to 260. Damage increased from 30 plus 40 versus structure to 50 plus 50 versus structure. Excuse me. Cone splash damage increased from 15 plus 20 versus structure to 25 plus 25 versus structure. Okay. This is a hard one to parse. Let me look at this again. Let's erase the verse structure. Who cares? If you're sieging structures, that's a whole different thing. So the splash damage, cone splash damage. So, right, its initial target it hits is going from 30 to 50. And the splash is going from 15 to 25 around it. The health is increased. Supply up like 60%. Cost up like 60%-ish. 60%, 50%, something like that. Okay, this is actually a buff, I think. And here, let me tell you why. Because actually, I've played like, I don't know, 80 to 90 games of Infernal. And basically every game I went Mass Hellborn, right? Because I think that I like them. I don't know. That's the way I want to play. So I've gone Mass Hellborn almost every game. And the problem with Hellborns is you have a million of them to actually get the damage done that you need, but they bump into each other all the fucking time. All the time. Like, you can't get them all to fire. You know, they're just, it's so hard to get them where you need them. If there's any units behind them when they're firing, when you have 15 of them and there's units behind, the units will never get to the front. They just won't get to the front. So now you need less to deal the same amount of damage. They're going to be more expensive on an individual basis, but you're not going to have as many for the damage. So I think that this is actually quite a good change. I would call it a buff overall, but a very good change considering the way they were actually functioning before. Absolutely. That's what I think on that. I like it. Okay, Shadow Flyer now deals, this is the Scourge unit. The Shadow Flyer now deals, excuse me, now deals 125 damage, shoots primary target, and 50 damage in an area of 3, down from 125 in the whole area. Okay, well, that's good. That's good. That's a good change. Shadow Flyers countered flying shit so hard. I had one game where I went Mass Spriggan against an Infernal player, and I had like 30 Spriggans, and like 4 Shadow Flyers came out and killed everything. And I was like, oh, that doesn't feel right, right? That does not feel right. So I think that's a good nerf because these are unbelievably strong anti-air. Weaver. Lash cooldown increased from 12 seconds to 16 seconds. I haven't used Weavers very much, I have to be honest with you. So Lash cooldown increased. Okay. Lash damage changed from 60. I actually didn't even know it dealt 60 to 20% of a unit's max health. So that matches its attack. So it's like an extra attack. Consume cooldown increased. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. The consume. We talked about the consume already. So they just made Lash kind of line up a little bit. I'm surprised because this is overall a nerf, I would say, for sure. Yes, for sure this is a nerf to Weaver, but I haven't seen Weavers really used. So I'm a little bit surprised about that one. A little bit surprised about that. Good change, excellent change, very good change. Don't know what this means exactly still as far as Doombringer. Seems like a buff for sure. Gaunt, slight nerf. They made the Brute more interesting. They nerfed the Banelings on walls or, buildings in general. And a nerf to Hellspawn Resurgence, which is the strongest ability I've ever seen. So, okay, it's a good patch. It's not like huge changes overall, but it looks like a good patch. I can't really complain about that patch. I'm really interested to try the Hellborn stuff. The Hellborn is really good. Also, I wonder if we'll see more openers than just mass dogs. That'll be interesting to see.